everyone, Miss Carrie here from Miss Carrie's Creations. Today I'm going to share some tips for using Lindy's powders and share a way that you can use them on your fall pages. This mixed media scrapbook background was so simple to make, and it's the perfect addition to your autumn pages. I can't wait to show you how it comes together. Today we're going to take a look at the embellishment kit and color kit in the October Hip Kit collection. The embellishment kit includes chipboard frames, oversized white chipboard titles and accents, mini puffy stickers, fall leaves and mushroom felt stickers, engraved wood veneer stickers, crocheted hearts, and pearls. In the color kit you receive 2 stencils, one with leaves, the other with small acorns and dots. The kit also comes with 3 colors of Lindy's Magicals that are wonderful fall hues: Cape Cod Coral, Summer Love and Sun, and Andrea's Azalea. I'm going to be using most of the items from the color kit on my page, and I'll be sharing some tips so that you know how to use these magicals on your next project. As I create the scrapbook layout, I'll bring in a few additional supplies, and I'll list those in the description below, along with a link to this October Hip Kit. The mixed media part of the project is going to take some time to dry, so I'm going to start with the paste, then move on to the Lindy's Magicals. I have portioned off 1/3 of the page with repositionable tape, and I'm going to start creating some textured leaves with the stencil and modeling paste. Now, this tape is not being used for masking because it's not waterproof. I simply needed to section off a portion of this cardstock for the paste. It's very difficult to cut through thick paste with a paper trimmer, and the tape's going to give me a clean edge that I can cut through. I have added a layer of gesso onto the cardstock before I added the modeling paste. The gesso's not really needed for paste on cardstock, but it is necessary for the Lindy's powder I'll be adding afterwards. Because the leaves are going to fill this entire 12-inch space, I've started in the middle, let it dry for about 20 minutes, then added the modeling paste to the sides. I'm doing my best to line up those leaves so that they look like a continuous pattern. Some of the leaves are cut off on the edge of the stencil, but most will be covered with the photo, so I'm not worried about it. Now that I've finished up the stenciling, I'm going to set this page aside and share a few tips for using the powders in the kit. If you're new to Lindy's Magicals, these are powdered dye-based pigments with shimmer. Be cautious when you open the jar and use them. These will stain anything they touch. These colors are intense, so it only takes a tiny amount to colorize your project. Like any stain or paint, you will need to prep your surface before using them. I've discovered that they react differently with each prepping medium. To demonstrate, I made a little sample. Here is the watered down stain without any prepping medium. You can see its true color and shimmer, but like most water-based mediums, I was only able to use a little bit of the dye before it started to warp the cardstock. Below I have some Ranger products. The Clear Gesso has a small amount of shimmer, but I had to add multiple layers of stain to darken the color. The white gesso created an inconsistent coverage and made the stain a little chalky. If you like this chalky look, the white gesso would be a great prepping medium. The gel medium has a consistent coloring, but the shimmer is almost gone. My white acrylic paint surprised me. It really brought out the shimmer. Now the paint did soften the color a bit, but I do like the look of the shine. Here at the top of the sample, I have some clear matte gel and Clear Gesso from Art Basics. Both samples still have some shimmer, and the color is almost identical to the true hue. With the Clear Gesso, the mica floated to the top, but if I run my finger over it, none of it rubs off. Lastly, I have 2 pastes, a modeling paste and a fluffy texture paste. The texture paste really intensified the color, and I like the look of that. Just brushing the dye over the modeling paste created very little color. Now I'm going to be using the modeling paste so that my color is a little lighter on the stenciled leaves. My stencil design is still a little wet, so I'm going to show you how to use the magicals. To create the stain, you're going to add a very, very small amount of powder to some water. I like using a plastic palette because it keeps everything contained. You can always add more powder if you want a darker color, but it takes quite a bit of water to lighten it. I'm going to paint a few little stripes here on some unprepped cardstock because I want you to see the true color. This is what your paint will look like with a tiny, tiny bit of powder. I don't know how well you can see this, but the shimmer is quite nice. Now I'm going to add just a tiny bit more of the Lindy's powder and mix it in. This makes the color a little darker and gives it some more shine. These do act a bit like watercolor paints, but as I said earlier, they're more like stain. They don't require a fixative and the shimmer doesn't rub off. I can vouch for the fact that they do stain just about everything. I splattered some on a project that wasn't in a splat box and ended up with stains on my shirt, my desk, and my glassboard covering. To be honest, I stain quite a few items every time I create, but I just wanted to let you know to be cautious when you're using these. As I was chatting, I added more powder. If you're not a fan of this darker hue, you can always add more water to lighten it. Like I said, it takes quite a bit of water to lessen the color, so you'll have to create some samples and continue to add water until you're satisfied with the color. As the magicals dry, you'll be able to see the more intense colors have more shimmer. The more powder I add, the more the mica floats to the surface. Instead of painting directly onto the background, I'm going to mix the powders on the page and create a mix of autumn colors over the modeling paste leaves. I'm going to take this little fan brush and pick up a small amount of powder. Then I'll tap the brush randomly around the leaves. I'm starting with the Summer Lovin', which is a deep golden yellow. Then I'll add some Cape Cod Coral. This has a lovely pink-orange hue. As the powder falls on the surface, it's going to overlap with the other powders. This is going to create a nice mix of fall color on my background. The last Lindy powder I'm going to add is Andrea's Azalea. I'm not going to fill in all the white space. In a moment here, the colors are going to mix and spread and will be less intense in the areas where there's not any powder. Now I'm going to spray some water over these. You're going to see new colors appear, like blues and grays. These are some of the hues that make up these Lindy's colors. If those random hues bother you, you can add more water to them or use a paper towel to remove them. I forgot to mention that the Summer Lovin' is a flat magical powder. The flats do not have any shimmer, but their pigment is intense. At this point, I am able to see where I need a little more powder. I'm going to use that fan brush to pick up some more powder and sprinkle it over the wet surface. These immediately begin to blend in with the others. As I continue to add more powder and water, I'm lifting the cardstock to blend more of the colors together. That modeling paste is resisting the colors a bit, which is also creating a variation of color that I really like. While I'll continue to add these to my page, I would love it if you tap that subscribe button and let me know that you're new here. If you are already a subscriber, let me know that you're enjoying today's project by tapping that thumbs up icon or leaving a comment below. I'm going to finish this up, let it dry a moment, and then I'll show you how the rest of the page comes together. All right, let's take a look at the finished background. I have trimmed it to size and added it to a white piece of cardstock. As it dried, the dyes lightened like watercolors, but we still have that shine and shimmer. Isn't this gorgeous? I love the beautiful fall colors over the modeling paste leaves. Now I want to create the background for the left side. I don't want to overwhelm the page with too many colors, so I'm going to use this set of house dyes to create a white on white background. My wire snips recently broke, so I was unable to cut these houses apart, but to be honest, it was much easier to just run this whole set of dyes through my machine to cut out all the houses. To create the background, I'm going to lay the houses out to create a pattern. I'm creating columns of houses that are about 1 inch apart. Since each house is different in width and height, I'm just going to center the peaks of the roof in the center of my column, and I'll adhere the houses about a 1/2 inch apart. I'm going to finish this off camera and show you what it looks like. Isn't this adorable? This wonderful tone-on-tone, white-on-white design fills in the space with pattern and texture without any color. Between these two patterns, I laid a darker blue and adorable house product strips. The colors in the houses pair well with the Lindy's colors and the house shapes, and the blue product strip matches the blue frame around the photo. The photo does have some twine wrapped around the base, and it's been offset so that I can add some vellum leaves behind it. This vellum allows some of the texture and color in the background to show through, and the hues match the magical pigments and the houses in the product strip perfectly. Choosing light colors makes the selection process simple and brings cohesiveness to the design. With all that color in the background, I felt like focus was being taken from the photo. I needed to add a larger vertical element, but paper would have covered the texture design. The two portions of chipboard created a larger frame and allowed that background to show through. For the title, I'm using this large chipboard piece that says Thankful. To match the shine in the Lindy's Magicals, I'm adding glacier paste over the top. Before adding the paste, I did cover the chipboard with gesso, then white acrylic paint. The glacier paste has some large pieces of silver glitter that will need cleaned off the edges. If those aren't removed, the chunks will dry like that and your title's going to look a bit messy. I sat the title vertically on the left side of the photo. On the right side, I'm adding a tag for journaling, and I'm going to tuck a few more pieces behind it. From the glitter sheet, I'm bringing in 3 leaves. These add some more sparkle to the page in a warmer color. To add some more texture, I'm going to bring in some felt pieces. These little leaves and mushrooms have adhesive on the back. I discovered that a dye removal tool helped remove these from the backing sheet without damaging the felt. Alright, I'm going to add a couple more items to this layout, and then I'll show you the finished design. To finish up the page, I added a little cardstock sticker at the top of the photo that says Celebrating Together. The photo was taken at Thanksgiving, so I felt like that was a good addition to the page. I added some lovely little pearls around my photo to bring focus to that part of the page. Again, these have adhesive on the back, but I glued them in place so that they stuck to the paste. Atop the tag, I placed some matching ribbon. This brought in some more of that fabric texture to the design. Today's scrapbook layout records a Thanksgiving memory using items from the October hip kits. Not only did I use elements from the main kit and embellishment kit, I also brought in the color kit to create a gorgeous background with those Lindy's powders. The modeling paste leaves and Lindy Magicals added some lovely autumn elements to my page that brought focus to the photo. I love the texture the house die cuts brought to the other side of the layout and how the tone-on-tone didn't distract from the photo on my page. I hope that today's project inspired you to try something new and give some of these techniques a try. If you're one who likes to pin photos to inspiration boards, I've added still shots of this layout in the Hip Kit Club Facebook group and on my website for you to use. I want to thank you for joining me for another scrapbook project. If you'd like to see more of my designs, you can visit my channel or follow Miss Carrie's Creations online. If you have any questions about the project or supplies listed below, feel free to leave me a comment. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see what you create.